Now is your time, your moment to explore, grow, and flourish. It's time for you to go beyond the scene into the endless space of possibility. But there is one condition. You must leave the past where it belongs. So, are you ready to let go? Join us this Friday at 3 p.m. We are women. We are brave, strong, capable, unique. We are women to women.
Good afternoon, South Africa. Another woman-to-woman show, and a very welcome to our audience from all around the world. Today, I wanted to explore with you a little bit about the fear that we currently go in South Africa and African continent, with the promise that we might face a third wave of the pandemic. Of course, when the news came through our minister, Mr. Mkhize, it brought a lot of fear and tension because how many people lost their livelihood, hope, family during this pandemic? We have been confronted with a second wave during the year end, and now, because of not being able to afford for the vaccines in many of the countries in Africa, our minister views the possibility of a third wave. What I wanted to discuss with you are the side effects, the emotional side effects of a statement of this nature. But before, let me quote to you the words of the minister. What we have seen is that in most of the countries, the second wave has come to be much heavier, fiercer, and costs more lives. It is also likely that we might face a third wave. There is no way of being able to prevent it, the third wave. Its impact will probably be devastating. Words of our minister, Mr. Mkhize. So when people heard about this, more than the physical effects, more than the financial effect in our country and many other countries, they started considering the emotional effect. We had situations, and I want to welcome Amanda today to the show, visiting us from Botswana. She was mentioning that when someone tested positive, the person committed suicide in the hospital, just for the fact that the person tested positive. So when you hear about a third wave that might be coming, there is desperation, there is stress. So much was lost during 2020. We were confronted with the second wave during the year end when people wanted to be with family, people wanted to have a break. And again, we were in a sort of lockdown. And in Europe, the situation is already devastating. Now, with the perspective of having a third wave in the continent, more than the financial loss, there is the emotional side, desperation, distress, depression, suicidal thoughts. And that is our concern of today. This is the reason why we invited a doctor to share with us his tips on how to tackle the fear, to tackle the emotional pressure. So let us go with Dr. Joseph.
All right, today I'm going to talk about COVID-19, the pandemic that we've been grappling with since March last year as a country. And I'm going to look at how we can cope with this pandemic, especially as we've had news that Africa is likely to be hit by the third wave sometime during the year. So today I'm going to look at how we can manage this pandemic. How can one cope with the stress, the fears and anxiety caused by the pandemic? Get the facts. And here I'm talking about not getting the facts from what we get often from social media. Get the facts from credible sources. We need to keep things in perspective. So what do I mean by this? We need to limit, as I said previously, limit exposure to social media or news outlets that do not provide any new information. And in certain cases, some of this, they actually sensationalize the facts. Keep busy in the short term. So focus on what is happening in the present rather than the future. So we are uncertain about how the future is going to be. We've been told that the third wave is going to be worse than this wave that we are currently in. So we cannot be digesting that, focusing much on that. We need to focus on what we can do in the present. We need to stay healthy. So we need to maintain regular waking hours, move around throughout the day, especially when we are in period of lockdown where we know that our movement is limited. So when one is at home, one needs to move around, not remain in one place. And of course, eat healthy snacks. Walking alone or with others, running, dancing are all good and healthy ways to reduce the stress. People need to stay connected, resist withdrawing or isolating yourself from your families and friends. Maintaining social connections can foster a sense of normality and provide valuable opportunities for sharing your feelings and relieving stress. Avoid generalizing what one hears. Just because someone is coughing, for example, or has fever, does not necessarily mean that they have coronavirus. Stop imagining the worst case scenarios. And we tend to imagine the worst case scenarios, and this is largely because of we're trying to control the unknown. We don't know how, for example, the third wave is going to be. So we imagine how worse that can be, and that does not help. So rather than living in the future, we need to live in the present. The other thing is that people need not to develop bad habits. So this is the other don't. Some feel better in the moment. Some ways of feeling better in the moment can have undesirable consequences over the long term. So focusing on moments of pleasure in the present moment can result in unnecessary or unpleasant results later. So we need to try by all means, for example, resist the urge to overeat or to abuse alcohol or any other substances for that matter. We need not to be a hyper vigilant with our health and body. This does not necessarily mean that we need not to be alert. It's important for us to be alert to ensure that we are always safe, but we don't have to be excessively alert, as that will result with us being paranoid about each and everything that is happening around us. I need people to seek help the moment they are experiencing some of the following symptoms that I'm going to mention. The moment one find that they find it very difficult to focus on their work, they find it difficult to complete what they are working on. They find it very difficult to have adequate sleep as they had, or possibly some even sleep excessively. The second thing is that when one eats a lot or find it difficult to even eat, one has lost appetite, then this might be the sign that there is a problem. And then the other thing is that with some people, they will present with increased amount of anger, of irritability, of agitation, and in certain cases, even disruptive behaviors. So when the loved ones see such symptoms, they need to pay close attention to that. One is to maintain a healthy, a positive attitude. Be careful of what you say. Avoid negative self-talk. So those are my advices.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joseph Siabi, with these precious tips that, of course, we want our audience to follow. And to remember that with God, everything is possible and you don't need to fear. Today, we are going to tackle another very important topic, a question that all of us had from time to time. What is the right time to let it go? Sometimes we don't even have a sense that we need to let go of something. But other times we do have a sense, however, we don't know what is the right time. Truth is, if you don't let it go, if you don't forgive yourself, if you don't forgive others, if you don't realize a certain situation is over, you cannot move on. And this is what we are going to explore today in our show. So when we thought about letting it go, the first thing is, what is the merit of it? Why we need to let it go, Tammy?
Okay. I like to think of letting go as an art, because it's something that a lot of people know they have to do, but when the right time comes to let go, It's hard. So that's why I like to think of letting go as the art of letting go. When I think of an artist, I think of how they put so much thought in their work. They are so meticulous in everything that they do. They think a lot, and an artist does not do anything for anything. They put their best. They think about whatever they do. It can be art, it can be clothing, it can be music. It's an art. So I think that for me, letting go is an art because a lot of people, everyone knows that there comes a time where we need to let go of something, but that's the hardest thing to do. It's so difficult to let go of anything that a person knows that they have to let go of. So a lot of people, they need to let go of things. So they hold on to things.
And
that,
worse than things, people,
Yes.
relationships, isn't that? I think
the
all of
hardest.
us had been to a moment that we had to let go, but it's hard. And that's why we aim to help you today to understand.
Yes. So when something for when I say things, it can be material things, it can be mental things, it can be physical things, as we spoke, it could be people as well. But I want to focus more on things, material or mental. It could be a thing that somebody said something to you a while ago and you're still holding on to that thing, and you're like, oh, I don't like her because one day she said this to me, and you're still holding on to that. And when they ask about, maybe they ask me about Gitu, and I'm like, no, I don't like Gitu because, one day she said something about me, and I don't even remember what the situation was about. Or maybe I do remember, but Gitu doesn't remember. So she doesn't know. She's fine, she's okay, she's moving on with life, but I'm still holding on to that thing. It hurts. It hurts, especially when you see somebody else living their life and being happy, and you remember, she did this to me. How can she be all fine all of a sudden? Like, does she remember what she did to me 20 years ago? How can she be living life so happy and forgetting what she did to me? Now I'm suffering. So a lot of people hold on to hurt and grudges and words that were said by other people, and that hurts because the mind is still in that day that Gitu said that to me. My mind is still there. It's not moving. So whenever I think about that, the pain, it's still the same way. That's how the mind works. It doesn't understand that, oh, that was 20 years ago. So it's okay. You can move on. So a lot of people, they hold on to that because they feel like it's my right. It's my right to hold on to this. I can't let go because she has to pay. But unfortunately, I'm the one who's feeling the pain. And there are things else as well, material things that I got as a child, things that I had, and I don't want to let go. Today we have a very different lifestyle. It's gaining momentum now. It's called living a minimalistic lifestyle. So people are letting go of things that they don't need. So many people live in cluttered houses with things that they don't even know that they have. And that causes, according to the research, it causes a lot of, burden, and you have a lot of stuff in your house. So mentally, emotionally. So they are advising people to let go of things that they don't need. So if it's a book, maybe a lot of people have books that they don't read anymore, so donate them. Clothes they don't need anymore, donate them. And according to the article, it when you let go of those things, you create space to have things that matter. So people hold on to things, whether material things or grudges or thoughts or whatever. So we know, the thing is about letting go is that we know we have to let go. We know, but the thing is hard. It's hard to let go.
And I think we are living in a moment that opposes to what our grandparents were living. Because if you remember, grandparents would keep a lot of things to leave a legacy or memories or something to their grandchildren to remember them. So we would see those garages that were so cluttered of things that the grandchildren didn't want. They would keep the wedding dresses of the great-grandmother, of which the great-grandchild would never use or wear it in their wedding dresses. Today, with all that we have been through, and the pandemic added a lot, we see how much less things we need. So the concept now, starting by the fact that houses are much smaller, flats are much smaller. You live in a studio today, in opposition to grandparents who would live in a big household and they could keep a lot of things. And we are letting those things go. But more than the physical things, it starts in the mind, as Tami said. Because if your mindset is not prepared to let go, you will keep it. And you will keep it in a very toxic way. As she said, thoughts or grudges that you will live with them, but the person will not. The person will forget. The person will move on. But you are still stuck in the past. Another thing that I think Kito wants to add, and it's hard these days, when is the time to let business go?
Okay, it's something that a person needs to really evaluate and see the value of what they have, because sometimes we keep things that they no longer have value in our lives. Instead of adding in our lives, they're just taking away. So business is one of those, because most of the time people start businesses with a vision of growing, of developing that business, of reaching a certain goal. But with time, that business proves not to be exactly what you expected. It's proving to be hard to grow, to develop, to reach the target that as a person you had in mind that it will reach. But now we find that it's something that as a person had that vision, like Tami said, it starts in the mind. If the person doesn't come to that understanding that, I've given this business my best, I've invested on it, I have tried everything that I'm supposed to do, but I'm stuck in this business. Some people, they stay there years in the same business, but it's not growing, it's not developing. It's even taking away from the little that they have. It's not bringing in profit, it's not building whatever that you had. Maybe you had your own personal investments, because most people, they work and they start a business and they have some kind of investment that they will keep that is for their own life or their own development. But maybe that business is even taking all that. You have some savings that you wanted for future references or something that you wanted to do, but because now this business is it's not really helping you, or it's not adding in your life, it's even taking what it wasn't supposed to take out of you. But then there are people that they hold on because, no, but I know it's going to work, I have seen other people doing it and it worked and things like that. But you can see it's not working. You can see it's not getting there. It's not giving you anything. So the moment when you know it's not giving you any profit, it's taking. They even said, I remember when I checked something as well about letting go. It said that if you don't even love it anymore, you don't have faith in it anymore. You wake up to go to that business, but you're not even motivated anymore.
It's a burden now.
It's a burden now. You don't have joy of doing it anymore. That is a sign that you need to let go. There should be something else that you can do. That you could even, change the way that you are doing it, or do something else, or add something else, instead of holding on to that same idea that you started with, that you saw it's working. And another thing that I thought of as well, it's the job as well, because there are people that are stuck in dead-end jobs. You've been there for years and years, and that it's not helping you with anything. You keep hoping one day I'll be promoted, one day I'll get a better position, one day I'll get this. And the more you remain in that job, the more you are there in that position, the more you are frustrated. You don't love you are even not happy with yourself as a person. You are not enjoying your own life as a person, not because you are doing anything wrong as a person, but because you have that thing that is taking so much energy from you, but it's not aiding in your life. So those are the signs that you need to know. I need to let go. I need to believe there's something else out there. You can't allow now fear to think, no, but I've seen people who left this and then now they are stuck, they don't have job, because this is another thing that will hold you from letting go. Fear.
Like the unemployment we spoke 2 weeks ago, and our last week we gave tips on how to find a job. And really, when you are not happy with what you're doing, you tend to project that your value is decreased because of the production you have in your workplace. And whenever you are doing something that you're not happy with, of course, your productivity will decrease. And that brings a lot of pressure in life. So get the tips that we gave last week about how to apply for a job or even to start a new business. And maybe you need to let go of what you have been trying to do without any profit, without any benefit to you and your family. But now I have a question. How do you know what is the time to let go of friendships?
I think it's something that a lot of women, a dilemma that a lot of women are faced with, because we tend to believe that we can't be on our own. We always have to have a crew, a squad, a group of women that support you, because there's even a saying in Africa that it takes a village to raise a child. So already that concept of always having people around you and accepting them for who they are is already almost like, I think, cemented in people's mentality. And now it goes to the extreme when it comes to now friendships, because family we can't really choose, but friends we can choose. So you'll find people that are in toxic friendships. What is a toxic friendship? A toxic friendship is when you're in a friendship where it's that person's game. When they want to do things, they have to be done their way. When you need support from them, they're never supportive. And we do even find it sometimes in the church, sadly, whereby maybe a young girl will express to another young girl like, oh no, I'd like to do more for God. Then because she's negative or whatever is influencing her, she'll be like, no, it's not for us. It's not really good. No, but do you really think you out of all people, what about this person? What about that person? So it's a taxing friendship, because every time when you're with that person, instead of leaving that scene happy, like, oh, wow, I learned something new from so-and-so today, you actually have more regrets. Like, why did we speak about what we spoke about? But then why did she say what she said to me? Because the most hurting words usually with women, when you look, it's words that were said by a close friend. When someone that you're not close with says something to you, you're able to brush it off like, okay, she doesn't know me. But when it's that person that comes, I think we were even speaking the other day about how even with women put each other down. So you're doing maybe a diet or something, and then she comes and is like, oh, but I don't see any difference. Like, what are you doing? Or she makes you a public spectacle any moment that she has to show off about you or make fun of a certain situation you're going through. That is the time to actually let go of that friendship, because that person is draining you. And instead of her building you up, helping you, like a sisterhood whereby you encourage each other to do well, that person is the one that degrades you, puts you down, makes fun of you, calls you stupid. I think even time you spoke about it like 2 weeks ago, of when the influence,
the role of her friends in her teenagehood.
So she would be, imagine being in that group of people and you're just there feeling as though they are pitying you. So they're doing you a favor. But then in that circle, there is actually no benefit for you. And I think a lot of people will be like, oh no, but she was my childhood friend. What will she say? What do I do? How do I? It's simple. You just go to the person and say, you know what, we were friends. I've appreciated the time that I've spent with you, but now I'm growing. Because we also have those friends that when they see a person grow, they are jealous. And she is,
I think they are relating to this topic today.
Then she's the one like, oh no, since she's married, she thinks she's better. She doesn't hang with us anymore. Oh no, since she got this job, she thinks now she has an elevated status. Or now the person's more busier, so she can't be out with you every Saturday or whatever. Then she's like, oh no, you see, now she's proud. She doesn't want to hang around with us. She puts herself like above everybody. Then it doesn't stop there. Now she escalates. But you know, one day when we were together, Gitu, she said this and this about you. She didn't like you. And old things come out like skeletons that should be, I don't know, like underground, start coming out. And it's always from a close source. And the mistake that many women tend to make nowadays is that with their friendships, they tend to idolize their friends more than family sometimes. Because you find in the past, I don't know about now, but then my mom would always be the one, the x-ray of friendships. Whenever I would come with someone, she'd always observe the person, what the person is saying, how they do things. And when the person would leave, she would tell me like, I don't think that's a good friendship for you. But I think with today, technology and everything, the generation that we have of today, because they're not that close with their parents, they don't even get that insight on wisdom.
And worse than that, many don't even accept the suggestion of parents or even of close friends.
Because your parent has been through it. They know what's going to come. They know there's certain words whereby maybe your friend is always taking from you. Like, oh no, it's friends with benefits. Like, I'm only your friend until you have something. But as soon as a crisis happens or your situation changes, your status changes, that friend is gone. They're nowhere to be found. And I think also when you're in a friendship where you can't even trust the person, like with something personal that you're going through, you even think twice. Like, let's say it's Silmara, and I'm like, I'm going through a hard time, but am I really going to go to Silmara? Like, but what if she's going to say something? Like, what if that shows it's not a beneficial friendship. It's just an acquaintance. And people need to learn that there are friendships and relationships that are there only for a season. They serve their purpose in that season. And when that season is finished, it's okay to let go and move on.
And I would say something else. If you have a friendship that your friend only uses the time you are together to criticize or gossip about someone else, my advice is let it go. Because in the same way she's doing that with you about someone else, she's talking to someone else about you. And this is not friendship. This is not commitment. You actually don't need this kind of friends. You're better off alone. Talking about being better off alone, those of you who know Amanda, you know as well that she was, and she still does the love therapy. So today, Silmara allowed her Diona to talk about when is the right time to let relationships, love life, marriage, dating go.
Yes, that's a very interesting subject, because as I was listening to one of them talking, and I was, even within business, about letting go, how you let it go in terms of a relationship. For the singles, when you are dating and you see that that relationship is toxic to you, you see that relationship's not bringing you any good, it's bringing you more harm than good, but you want to insist in keeping that relationship. Why? Because you are holding on to it, to a feeling. As they were all talking, I was thinking about it. If we look deeply into it, there is a feeling behind it that overcloud your mind, your reason, and you start holding things. And that comes with relationship. Even in marriage, many people are having problems in their relationship. They get married. When they were dating, they already seeing that it was not good, because the other person was very selfish. The other person didn't respect them, but they end up getting married. And now they are married and still struggling, having problems, and keep on holding on to that. Looking into it, they see it's not moving anywhere. It's hurting me. It's bringing more harm than good, but still they want to hold it because they are holding on to that feeling. But they need to understand that you cannot allow yourself to be in a relationship where you have to compromise your values as a person, as a wife, as a Christian. Because many of them, because of relationships, they even compromise their faith in God. And that's not healthy for you, not for anybody. So that's a very important thing. And when we think about, when Kit was talking about business, it's very related when we think about, we like to give this example in marriage. Because when you are working in a company and your boss, let's say, he's there, you are relating with him, you understand, you listen, and you are working to improve yourself. You don't use your feelings because you want to progress, you want to improve in that company. But when it comes to relationship, now the person starts to hold on to many feelings that will compromise that relationship instead of letting go. Because there are two sides here of the coin, I would say. Because there are things in marriage, for those who are married, that you have to let go. It's not, oh, okay, so it means I'll end my marriage, I have to divorce. No. Because there are little things that, okay, I'll let it go. I don't need to, be, okay, he left something out of place, or he left the dishes in the sink. And many people nowadays are making a big deal of little things in a relationship and are not being able to have a healthy marriage. That has been a big problem. So let go for those who are married of these little things you have been holding on that has been destroying your marriage. And when we look into it, it's so small. But if it was in their jobbing place, they would let it go.
Of course, they would never tell their husband, don't do it. The boss, don't do it. But with their husbands, they do.
They do, yeah.
And when the relationship turns to violence, and one of the things we have the most is gender-based violence nowadays, that marriage needs to be restructured. And sometimes not to file for a divorce, but to give the other person space and to find your own identity. It's necessary. And one of the things that I was thinking about, why people keep to dates or keep to relationships before marriage, is basically only for physical attraction. So they think that because there is physical attraction, there is commitment, there is trust, there is love. And later on, they will find out that it's not the case. The trust was not there. It is started for the wrong reasons. It is developing in the wrong way. And if they turn into marriage, they will break. They will not remain. Now, yes.
No, it's just something that I thought about to add on relationships as well, that there are people that when they start relationships, more especially in the church, they start a relationship and just because, okay, he's a man of God, you're a woman of God, they think that it's supposed to go to a marriage. So it's a magic portion. So they will see things that they don't like. No, but he's a man of God. No, but she's a woman of God. And those are the kind of things that now they will now bring serious problems in that marriage. So people need to understand that you can be a woman of God and he can be a woman of God, but you might have different values and visions and understanding of things. So, and it's okay to say, no, it's not working because we are different. You're not saying he's not a man of God or woman of God, because that is a sign that it will give you a problem later on in your marriage. So it's a sign for you to let go.
Yeah, just to add, as you was talking about, it just came to my mind now that as you're talking about, they need to understand if they have the same goal, the same objectives, they have the same faith, but then one wants to be a business person and the other one wants to have a calm life, settle for working and that's it. He doesn't want to have, but because they are in the church and they think, we are both from God, it's gonna work. And when they get married, it's still both being in faith, they will have problems. They will have challenges there. Why? Because they didn't communicate before. They were holding on to that relationship because he's in the church or she's in the church. I found someone. So, but instead of looking, okay, yes, I found someone, but do we have the same goals in life as well? They need to analyze that point. If not, let it go, and God will.
Something you will need to let it go. Either you let go of the relationship or you let go of your dream.
Exactly. Yes.
If you are a visionary and the person is not, you will have to let go of that vision.
Yeah.
But something you will need to let it go. And now with the pandemic, we saw something that we had to learn to deal with. That was the loss of loved ones. But there are people still clinging on and suffering. And it changed their lives completely because they can't deal and they can't let it go. Silmara, today you're going to address on a different subject, but it is one that is affecting a lot of our society and all over the world. Who of us here would be able to say, I didn't hear about a friend or a family member who died in the pandemic?
It affects almost every family. And when we think about let go, I was listening to all of them saying in different areas of their lives and in the lives of people, and you see clearly, let it go, it doesn't mean that you failed. People compare to that. When they say, I need to let it go, they feel a pain, like, how I'm going to let it go? But they're being wiser when that is really compromised their life. And when we come to the loss of someone you love so much, in their mind, it seems like, I can't forget about this person. Maybe it's a mother, a father, a granny, and someone so important. And I remember when my father passed away, and my mother had to take the decision of carrying on. She was not just ignoring his life, when he was with us. We had good memories. Actually, she had a lot of good memories that she would share with me. But the time to let it go is when the memories doesn't cause pain anymore. You remember, you put things in the right place. Our lives, they are not like a movie that you can reverse back and let us do it
all over
different.
again.
Yeah, different. So many are those, they don't allow situations, they don't let it go because they keep living that moment. They entertain it so much. So how that person who you love so much, if he could see you living and grieving for the rest of your life, maybe that person would not be happy. It's your mom, your dad. If she could say something, she would want you to carry on. That's actually what our mothers, they say. My mom and you today sometimes say, one day, do you know when people start to get old? And she, she tells me, one day, Silmar, I'm going, but I want you to remain strong. I want you to be in faith. So it's how we need to hold on. So to let it go doesn't mean that you fail. And in the loss of someone we love doesn't mean that you are going to forget about that person. That person will be always in your memories, but it will be good memories of your past. Not that moment that you will cry. And I remember in few things that she would tell me, Silmar, we need to donate clothes. And it doesn't mean that we don't love your father anymore. It means now he's gone. So we need to carry on. So being attached to so much things as a remembrance, it makes difficult to let it go. So you will still love the person. She's gone. You miss. There is that period of time that we really
Of mourning,
grieve.
of grief.
Yes, it's with everyone, but it needs to have a limit. Okay, now it's done. I can't reverse time anymore. I can't do different. And it's not only with me, because helping other people, we see when that situation happens in your family, it seems it's you alone. Why me? Why this happen with me? But it happens with so many people. And we have a choice now. It's a hard choice. To let it go, it's a hard choice. It's not easy, but it's necessary for life to carry on. So keep good memories of whoever left your life. You could not do anything to stop this to happen. However, now you need to move on. And part of that is letting it go, even little things that will make you to remember. And you will look forward. I have good values. I remember she would always share with me good values of my father, how he would treat us, because I was very young, but that values made me to move on. And do I remember him? I do, but doesn't cause pain anymore. That is a sign when you really let it go. You can share, you can encourage others. You say, okay, you lost your father. I also lost mine. And now it's painful. It was painful for me as well, but here I am. And we are going to make it. So to separate, when you let it go, especially in other areas of your life, you are not failing. You are being wiser because you need to carry on. And when you are let it go, a family member that you love the most, with his past on, you are not forgetting about him. You are keeping good memories about him, but it doesn't cause pain in you anymore.
And I think one thing that doesn't help people let go with today's generation of social media is when on maybe the person's birthday, then they put the picture of the person on maybe a special day. And I think that even impedes the person from moving forward. Because yes, we understand you want to keep the memory of the person alive, but especially for women or even men that were married, like you're now a widow or widower, now you need to think also for the next person that you're going to get married to, because I think it's going to be very awkward, like walking into that house and the picture of the late wife or the late husband is there. And I think
Recipe for disaster in your next relationship.
and they keep like maybe sharing with that person, like, he used to treat me this way, she used to treat me this way, she used to cook this, she used to cook that. So it's almost like now the new person, you're not even giving them a chance to show their best ability, because now they're competing with a ghost. And like one of the things that I've seen as well with the loss of a loved one is that people create almost like a fantasy sometimes, and they refuse to see what the truth was. Because in many cases, I'll be honest with my side of the family, whereby when we lost people, I saw it as a benefit. It was much more safer that the person passed away than had they continued living, because the person maybe was living a promiscuous life. They were not okay. They were causing more distress in the family and things like that. So it's almost like people want you to feel bad. And sometimes you find people now faking the mourning because they're afraid that to come out and say, okay, my son passed away, but I'm happy that at least now he's with God. He's in a safer place, because should he have survived or lived, I don't think he would be here in the church or be making me like a happy mother. So I think what impedes, especially with today's generation, is let's cut off a bit of the social media things, because then it's the 1 year anniversary of the person's death. Then we're putting the video. Then we are putting the pictures. Then you're crying on social media. Then we have to come like, it's okay, Seal. So you're not letting it go.
And in nowadays, the social media disturbs a little bit, because keep reminding you 1 year later, 2 years later, you posted that. Then all the members come back again. It's something like you were already fine, and now you go
You
back.
have to relive those sad moments. It's interesting to understand that even though we're talking about death, you can choose not to let it go. It means you can't accept it, and you are going to be hostage of those feelings and the memories and the pain forever. You can't change the fact. When we talk about death, is one of the things that we can't reverse. We can't make a decision, but we still can hold on to that and not move on, and always bring the memories. And it's like the person is gone and we are sad for that, but the person is still alive next to me. And there are those who say, oh, the spirit is here. And that doesn't happen. When the person is dead, that life is finished. We keep the good memories, we keep the lessons like you did with your father, but we can't reverse that situation. Just after the break, I'm going to share with you a passage in the Bible, a teaching, because there is not only one passage, but a teaching in the Bible that proves that God expects us sometimes to let go. We are going to talk about someone very popular in the Bible who taught us this lesson, which we fail many times to put it in practice. Stay put, we're coming back shortly.
I came to you with my heart in pieces and found a God with healing in his hands. I turned to you, put everything behind me, and found a God who makes all things new. I look to you, drowning in my questions, and found a God who holds all wisdom. And I trusted you, I stepped out on the ocean. You caught my hand among the waves, 'cause you're the God of all my days. Each step I take, you make a way, and I will give you all my praise. My seasons change, you stay the same. You're the God of all my days. I ran from you, I wandered in the shadows, and found the God who relentlessly pursues. I hid from you, haunted by my failure, and found the God whose grace still covers me. I fell from you when I was at my weakness, found the God, the lifter of my head. And I worship you, felt you right beside me. You're the reason that I sing, 'cause you're the God of all my days. Each step I take, you make a way, and I will give you all my praise. My seasons change, you stay the same. You're the God of all my days.
And now we welcome you to our second part of the show. And of course, I'm going to share with you where in the Bible God had already made a provision for us to learn to let it go. I am talking about Solomon, a man who was so wise. And in that wisdom, he failed sometimes. And he had to learn to let go. Otherwise, he would not have been saved today. Because when he came to the end of his life and he saw that everything was vanity, to come to that point, he needed to let go. So we're reading for you Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 6. A time to gain and a time to lose, and a time to keep and a time to throw away. This throw away means to let go. We cannot think that we are going to gain all the time. We are going to overcome all the time. There will be a moment that we need to lose. We need to make mistakes, because from those mistakes and from the moment that we lose is when our spiritual growth and experience starts in our life. But also a time to keep. We spoke about clustered houses, jammed places, relationships, friendships. However, when that is not helping me to grow, is not making me to improve as a person, as a Christian, I need to let go. I prefer to say let go rather than throw away. But that's what we need to do. And sometimes what we need to let go, it's our own thoughts. It's our own feelings. It's not necessarily what people say or do to us, but the poison that we keep inside, that is making ourselves to look down, that is making us to see we don't have value or we lost our identity. So let us do what God has taught us in the Bible. There is a time to keep, but also there is a time to throw away. If God has given us this lesson and we saw the application of this lesson in the life of Solomon, we don't need to wait that long. What is it that you need to let go today? That's your reflection for this program. Now we are going to go to another very interesting part of our program, our new segment called My Question Is.
During the fast of Daniel, are married couples allowed to have sex, since it's entertainment as well?
So it's relationship, and we are going to allow Silmara and Amanda to answer you this question. It's not the first time that I hear that. I have counseled many women in that regard, and I think today we are going to contribute to so many more. Go on, Silmara.
So talking by the perspective of someone who is from God. If you and your husband are in the church, there is a Bible verse in 1 Corinthians chapter 4 that you can read there. If it's in agreement for a short period of time, it can happen. However, it's not health for a relationship, because more than just an entertainment for us Christian, it's a communion that we have with our husband at a good moment that the two become one. It's the relationship will become more closer when you have that. And it's important that we separate it. For the world, sex, you see it in a different way. It's entertainment, but with different people, without being married. But for us, Christian is something holy that God created for those who are married, who are officially married in the home affairs, né, Kito? In the church.
For those who decided to have a life together.
Yes. To have, it's a whole moment. So it's not going to make you to break your fast. Even though, let us say, both are in the church. But for you, you see that is not what God is asking from you in that moment. So you are not breaking your fast of Daniel. Having your night with your husband as normal, it's not breaking your fast. If you have the faith for that, you can do for a short period of time.
Because this verse you mentioned finishes that, so that you don't give the devil an opportunity. And that for me speaks louder than anything else. Because when you part, you're giving a chance for the devil to step in. So in the mind of many women, no, but I'm doing the fast of Daniel. But on the other hand, you're giving the devil an opportunity to break communion with your husband.
Yes. And another thing is, at that moment, the couple, the two is becoming one, physically speaking. And many people don't understand that we were created by God, and that was created by God. The world turn it to something vulgar, something, they try to demoralize, I would say, that. But in fact, as Silmara said, we use the Bible as our manual for life. And even that is clear in the Bible for a short period of time. It's not for a long period of time. And again, in agreement, because now you are married, you are one. Oh, but my husband, he doesn't come to the church, so he don't understand. So
that's what I wanted you to complete. It gets even worse when it's an unbeliever.
Yes.
That is a no, because you are going to arrive home and you'll say, now I'm in the fast of Daniel, so my husband, see you next week. So
that's not agreement.
That is not ways. Mm-hmm. Especially because you are, with your example, trying to gain the soul of your husband to God. So if you come imposing things, bringing the idea, no, but the pastor, and sometimes they say like this, no, no, but the pastor in my church said I need to do that. Of course, the church invite people to do the fast of Daniel, but in none of the fast of Daniel, you can agree. We never spoke anything about it. Because it's a personal, anyway. Yeah, it's a personal decision. So if both are in the church, you decide, okay, for a short period of time. But if, even though you are in the fast and you say, that is fast, it's holy, it's the world who bash this creation of God. So it distorts everything. So for us, it's holy. Sex is holy. It's a moment that we have to become closer to our husband, to become one. So you are not breaking, and it's not entertainment for us.
You come to the church, you pray for your husband because he's an unbeliever. You do your chant of prayer, but without the wisdom that we're sharing with you today, you use of it. And then in the mind of your husband is, look, she's going to this church. And who is she changing to be? She's no longer my wife. And you put two laws that fall flat, all the prayers and the chain of prayers you're doing because you're lacking wisdom in this regard. And something else, when you talk about having an intimate life as an entertainment, for us as a Christian, you don't use that word. Why? Because there is no entertainment. It's part of life, is the fact of two becoming one. So when we speak about entertainment in a fast, it is secular information. But in marriage, your intimate life and your communion, it makes from two one. So women out there, let us not use that anymore. And let us not even use it as an excuse, because if you do so, you're missing the wisdom of God. And as Amanda said, it is biblical. Huh? Now we are going to pray for you. We spoke about letting it go. Sometimes we know it's time, but it's difficult. So you need God to show to you what right now you need to let go so you can change your life. And I'm going to invite Amanda, who's visiting us, to pray for you today. Please close your eyes.
My Father, we are here together to pray for all the women who are watching this program. And right now, I ask you, open their mind, their understand, so that they let whatever they have been holding on to go. They may throw away, they may leave it, so that they can move forward. Only you, Father, can help them to understand what they have been holding on until today. But from today on, they decided to make an introspection and look into themselves and see what they will from now on let go. So, my Father, be with each one of them. We give their lives into your hands, and we thank you, my Father, for one more opportunity to be learning from you. We give everything into your hands. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Now, the last words for the Setswana community in Setswana.
Okay. I know one that the ladies from Botswana and men and everyone who is watching, Ahuna sepe sesitata momo dimom.
Whoa!
Kito, please translation.
There's nothing hard or there's nothing impossible with God.
Yes.
So it's not impossible for you to make a decision today to let go. Maybe you need to decide to let go of being picky with your husband, with your children. You don't need to bring to an end your marriage or your relationship, but you need to bring to an end what goes on inside of you. Next week, we are going to be back and we are going to be talking about your mindset. Have you investing in what is positive, or are you feeding yourself with what is negative? More about that in our next week's show. Until then, God bless you all and bye-bye.
These ladies had the exact same day, but experienced it completely differently. Find out what made this difference. Join us this Friday at 3 p.m.